I'm recording this video on Hoshana Rabbah. In the Holy Land, it is already Simchat Torah. Sukkot is the most joyous of all the Jewish festivals. The Torah actually repeats the obligation to be joyous on Sukkot 3 times. In all our prayers, we refer to Sukkot as Zman Simchasenu, the time of our joy. And the climax of all this joy is meant to be on the very last day, Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah is celebrated tonight and tomorrow in the Holy Land, and Thursday night and Friday outside of the land of Israel. Last year, Simchat Torah came out, of course, on Shabbat, October 7th. This year, as this holiday began, I was having a lot of trouble feeling any joy. True, since October 7th, we have seen many open miracles. The amount of missiles fired on the tiny land of Israel from all sides, from Iran and its proxies, was about 30,000 so far. The number of Israelis killed by these missiles could have easily been in the thousands, even with all the defenses Israel has in place. Thank God, I don't think more than 10 people were killed, even though each life is a whole world and irreplaceable. The success that the IDF has had eliminating all the heads of Hamas and Hezbollah is also miraculous. Nonetheless, there is so much pain. A week doesn't go by without one or more of our courageous soldiers being killed in battle, or civilians being killed by terrorists. We have lost over 400 precious soldiers in Gaza, Lebanon, Yehuda, and Shomron. The number of widows and orphans, parents who have lost children, siblings who have lost brothers and sisters, is in the many thousands. 90,000 Jews from the north and the Gaza envelope have been living in internal exile since October 7th. And the war is still raging. Even though the IDF has severely downgraded Hamas and Hezbollah, they are nowhere near being totally defeated. Hundreds of thousands of Iranian terrorists and their proxies surround us and show no sign of surrender. Israel seems paralyzed and unable to deliver a crushing blow to our enemies. The United States has been aggressively pressuring Israel from day one to limit its responses and to call for a ceasefire so that all our enemies can remain fully intact and ready to attack us at any time. The United States seems to be doing everything possible to ensure that Iran should go nuclear sooner rather than later, so as to place the state of Israel in perpetual fear of annihilation, God forbid. With all this going on, I couldn't bring myself to experience the joy the Torah mandates us to feel during this special holiday, until I realized that our holy sages were keenly aware of the difficulty in experiencing true joy in our time of exile. October 7th was so horrific it is hard to imagine that we have experienced over 1,000 October 7ths in our long and bitter exile. The destruction of the temple and Judea by the cruel Roman legions in the year 70, and again 60 years later after the revolt of Bar Kokhba, was accompanied by wholesale murder, torture, and rape of hundreds of thousands. The Crusades, the Inquisition, the pogroms, and the Holocaust, whether it was Romans, Christians, Muslims, the vicious, bloodthirsty, sadistic cruelty was the same as October 7th, over and over and over again. In fact, even during the time period when the Second Temple stood in Jerusalem on the Temple Mount, the Jews were also deeply in exile. For most of the time, we were under the oppressive dominion of the Greeks and the Romans. For a short period, the land of Israel was ruled by righteous leaders from the house of the Hashmonaim. But after 2 generations, they too became Hellenized and oppressed the Torah-observant population. So essentially, even with the temple built on the Temple Mount, the Jews were in a dark exile, similar to our situation today, where the state of Israel since its inception has been ruled by secular Jews who are pathetically ignorant of our heritage and who are severely compromised by their subservience to Western culture and civilization. It is for this reason that our sages in the time of the Second Temple instituted that when we danced around the outer altar in the courtyard of the Holy Temple with our lulav and esrig or with our hoshanas, in fulfillment of the explicit verse in the Torah, V'samachtam lefnei Hashem Elokeichem, Shivas Yomim, we would cry while we were dancing, Ono Hashem Hoishiano, we would cry out to God, "Please, Almighty God, help us and redeem us." These were the words we sang, and we cried at the same time as we were experiencing the festival of joy, crying for the time when our joy would truly be unlimited, and praying for the ultimate redemption. Our sages authored beautiful prayers to be recited every day while we were circling the altar, and after the destruction of the temple, when we circle the bima upon which the Holy Torah is read in public in the center of every synagogue. But how exactly are we meant to experience pain and joy at the same time? Our sages taught us how. The main line in the prayers that we say every day when we circle the altar or the bima once each day, and 7 times on the last day as we did today in the morning, the main line of all these prayers is Ani v'hu hoishiana, which means, please, God, help me and you, where you is referring to God. This might seem very odd to pray to God to help himself, but our holy texts are full of this concept. This is a very deep concept, and now is not the time to delve into it. But this is the fact. God is in deep pain when we suffer, and he wants us to pray not only for ourselves, but also for him. For whatever mysterious reason, suffering is necessary during this period in our history prior to the redemption. God will in no way allow his children to suffer alone. In every single tear that every Jew and righteous Gentile sheds, God is there with them. And since God is infinite, when he experiences pain, it is infinitely greater than our experience. And if you multiply all those infinite experiences of pain times the number of times Jews have suffered, it begins to strain our power of imagination how God could experience all this pain. Our sages felt that even in our most difficult, dark, and painful times, knowledge that God is suffering with us will somehow enable us to experience some level of joy within our pain. Because if God is with us, there must be some reason why we have to go through this. And if God is with us, and he is above time, we should be able to experience, at least in some small way, the joy of the future, even while we are experiencing the painful transient moments of the present. May all the Jewish people and the righteous Gentiles soon experience absolute, unmitigated joy, and may we all dance together with Almighty God in a time where there will be no more pain, and when God will wipe away tears from every face. Good Yom Tov.